guys, welcome back. So Netflix just launched their all-new Babysitters Club reboot trailer, and I am so excited. The Babysitters Club is basically the epitome of my childhood, and so with the new series coming out, I figured it would be the perfect excuse for me to take a trip down memory lane and reread the books, see if they hold up, and then of course on top of that, check out the trailers. So I thought that this would be the perfect opportunity for me to watch the trailer with you guys so you can see how I feel about it, because I've yet to watch it. I knew as soon as the trailer dropped that I wanted to do this video. So without further ado, let's watch it together and let's talk about Babysitters Club.
It all started at the very
Oh my god, they look so young! I do not remember them looking that young, but I mean, I was that age, so yeah.
Reach a whole bunch of good sitters at the
Claudia
same time.
definitely looks. Oh, the phone, the clear phone.
The Etsy shop I bought it from.
Oh, Etsy, yep, of course.
Yeah, but it's 25 years old.
It's iconic, of course it is.
Oh my god. Good afternoon.
Christy looks like a
Babysitters
tomboy,
Club.
as she should.
This is Christy Thomas.
Claudia has
president
always
and
been a
founder speaking.
fashionista, so I wanted to be like her so bad growing up.
I know how much you like to be in control.
Is that
Well,
Alicia
it's gonna be a part of
Silverstone?
your family, whether you like it or not. I'd rather have head lice
Oh boy.
again.
I'm Dawn.
Dawn!
I just moved here from LA.
I'm
Interesting.
I don't back down from a
She was not part of the original group.
Someone needs a diaper change.
Makes sense that they're introducing her right away though, so that's fine.
It's me, Claudia Kishi.
I'm good at
Claudia
a lot of
fashion
things.
montage.
Most of all, I'm good at art.
Her candy.
Pop is very
I love being able to see
have to
her art though,
celebrate.
because
Hey,
she's supposed to be
watermelon
phenomenal at art, and I can only imagine it as a
I'm
kid.
Stacy. I've got to get his attention.
Boy crazy
do?
Stacy.
Pretend to drown?
Do you think that would work?
Interesting.
We need to
It's
differentiate
so funny
ourselves
because
from the
she
competition.
was
I can figure
supposed to
out
be
the
the
best ratio of
super
click-throughs
glamorous,
to
fashionable one
investment.
from New York,
I'm
and
pretty good
I'm
at
glad that
math.
they still kept her
Well,
fashion like
I'm
age
Marianne.
appropriate.
Talking to people I don't know makes
Oh,
my stomach bug in my
Marianne.
notes.
Oh, Marianne.
You're hilarious.
People who barely know me always say that.
Oh, Mary. Oh gosh.
That you are
Okay.
learning about yourself.
All the feels,
and the way
guys.
you
All the
wanna be in
feels.
the
I'm
world.
just.
I know it's hard, but we're here.
You are such a strong
Yeah,
woman,
that's Alicia
Christy.
Silverstone. Man, I feel old. That must be Logan. At some point, Marianne
I
gets a
started the
boyfriend. Guys,
Babysitters
spoiler
Club
alert.
to take care of kids. But what I realized, we were more than a club. We were best friends.
The camp. And the logo with the block letters. Oh man, talk about my childhood all rushing back. So yeah, I am even more excited now having looked at that trailer, because I think that it does an excellent job portraying the girls while also bringing it up to speed, basically. The phone part was especially hilarious, because to them, the fact that she had to order it off Etsy and it was like this cool vintage thing makes me feel like a grandma, because I remember growing up reading these books. I wanted that clear phone. I wanted my own phone line like Claudia did, and I got neither, but regardless, it was the thing at the time. So let's just kind of dive in, because since I found out that the shows were launching, I wanted to order the books and read them for myself, and I scored this awesome deal off of Amazon. So because it has been so long since I read the books, they have obviously come out with countless new covers, and I didn't want to just buy the latest edition. I wanted the covers that I remembered from when I was a little girl and I read the series, and so I did some scouring, and bless you Amazon, even with the pandemic and the shipping just taking a little bit longer, I was able to score 6 books. Not only the first 6 books, but the ones with the covers that I remember when I was a little girl. And so just seeing these versions of the covers it just takes me back. So I'll put up on the screen now what like the difference between the covers that I got, the old covers and the new covers, so you can see the difference. Again, they're cute. I wanted the ones that I remember growing up. So As far as the Babysitters Club history and like its origins, in case you don't know, it is a long-standing series by the infamous Anne Martin. She actually didn't write all of them, just like a handful, and so ended up being like ghostwritten later down the line. But there are over 200 books in the series. Can you guys hear my dog and his bone? Yes, now you can. Anyway, so there are over 200 books in the series. You've got the main series, the Babysitters Club, and then there are a bunch of spin-offs. So it's like Babysitters Club Super Special, Babysitters Club Mysteries, Babysitters Club Little Sisters, where it's exactly what it sounds like, the little sisters who also eventually joined the club. And even now, and I haven't read these because I stopped reading the series a while back when they came out with these, but even now they have like manga comic versions of a couple of the books, which I think is so cool, and I might end up buying some if I'm being honest. But so the Babysitters Club, as you guys saw from the trailer, is about a group of friends who start a Babysitters Club, and it's just them navigating, you know, these babysitting jobs as well as life and friendship. And one of the things that I loved about the books, and full disclosure, the series totally holds up. I reread it and I'm in love with it all over again, but one of the things that I loved then and I love now is how the author manages to have these young girls navigate through tough times without sugarcoating anything. You know, it's not a hard-hitting series, but at the same time, in addition to them having fun, they're also dealing with real-life situations. So, for example, Christy has to deal with her mom getting remarried and them becoming a blended family. Then you've got Claudia, whose grandmother passes away, and that was a huge deal because her grandmother was essentially her best friend. Then you've got Stacy. Stacy is a diabetic, and you know, not only is that just a tough thing to swallow and handle in general, but when you're young and you know you care about what your friends and other people think about you, you don't know how that kind of news is going to affect your social life, and it's just how she deals with that. And it's so good, and I adore how she wrote their characters and how she had them basically solve their problems themselves, not in a way to where parents were never around, because obviously when it got serious they would bring in their parents, which is another thing that I adore, because nothing bothers me more than like kids dealing with some heavy shit that it's just like, why didn't you just tell your mom about it? But aside from that, they deal with their own issues, which I think builds character and instills a sense of responsibility, which is something that, you know, you're obviously trying to learn as a kid, but the way that it's done in the books is that you learn through them, and it's not at all pushy. Like, I only realize these lessons now rereading it as an adult, and I'm like, good for you, Christy. Good for you for handling it on your own. But anyway, so I wanted to share with you guys a couple of notes, because as you can see, not only did I reread the book, but I took some notes, because as I was turning the page, all of the memories are just flooding back, and I'm like, oh my god, I remember that. So really quickly, let's just talk about the main characters in the book. So we've got the original 4 Babysitters Club, and kind of 5 because Dawn gets introduced shortly after, but you've got Christy. She is the tomboy. It's her idea. Then you've got Claudia. She's the one who is like the creative, artistic one, and they hold the meetings at her house because, as y'all saw, she has the phone, and you know, she's got her own personal line. Then you've got Marianne, which is the quiet, shy one. She grew up in a single parent household. It's just her and her dad, and so she's, you know, very reserved. Then you've got Stacy. She's kind of like the super fashionista who moved from New York City. They live in Connecticut, by the way. And then lastly, you have Dawn. As I mentioned, she wasn't the original group, but she came in shortly after, and she moved from LA. So all of the girls have their own distinct personalities, and I remember growing up, I basically was a Marianne. I was quiet, I was shy, and so first of all, I loved being able to read about a character who was like me in personality. And you know, as the series went on, Marianne kind of came out of her shell. She ended up getting a boyfriend, and so seeing her navigate through these things really kind of helped me in a way, you know, not only living vicariously through her journey, but it's like, hey, if Marianne can do it, then I can do it too. On the flip side, I wanted to be like Claudia so bad. I thought she was super cool, and like her art skills for being so young was enviable, and her fashion sense, and she didn't care what anybody thought. And coincidentally, I find that I relate to Claudia more today, just in terms of like the quirkiness. She loves her some mystery books. She's reading Nancy Drew all the time, which, hello, thriller mystery all the way. And you know, she was very close with her grandmother. I too, until she passed, I am close with mine as well. And it's so interesting kind of seeing these girls through an adult lens, because I thought when I reread these that they were going to seem childish, but they actually didn't. And that lets you know that these books withstand the test of time. And I mean, not only that, but just positive friendships, and female friendships more specifically, is something that I think is very important. And you want to read about that when you're young, or you want your kids to read about that when they're young, but it doesn't seem preachy at all. So it's just such a really well done series. So I kind of wanted to show you guys a couple of things, because one of the things that I remembered about the series that I adored was that every couple of chapters they would have journal entries from their babysitter's log, where each of the girls would kind of write their experiences about how their babysitting job went. And because of that, they wrote it in their handwriting, which I thought was so cool. When I was younger, I used to cycle through all 7, I guess, if you include the little sisters, handwriting to see if I could emulate it. I thought that they were all spectacular, and I wanted to copy them so bad. So you can see here that this is Marianne's handwriting. Even to this day, it's neat. The shit holds up. It is on point, which I adore. Side note, I'm a little sad because it's like, do kids even know how to read cursive? I mean, luckily I do, and I was able to learn to read and write it. But kids these days, I don't know. Maybe these books can help get them interested in it. On the flip side, again, you've got another handwriting sample. Let me show you guys. I think I got Stacy's handwriting. Yep, here we go. Stacy's handwriting, which is different from Marianne's because it's in print. You guys, I used to copy those little hearts over the eyes. I mean, I'm sure a lot of girls did, so that's nothing special. But even seeing that now, I'm like, yep, the way that she used to write her S's, I practiced that so hard. The A's, I thought were just so sophisticated. Ugh, so good. Another thing that just took me back was the fashion. First of all, hello 90s, but what's interesting, y'all know fashion comes back around, so I feel like the stuff that they wore then that was considered quirky and having their own unique sense of style would still be cool today. So I'm gonna just read you a really quick clip of Claudia and what she's wearing, because I thought she was so cool. Okay, so short, very baggy lavender plaid overalls, a white lacy blouse, a black fedora, and red high top sneakers without socks. Then on top of that, she had her hair done in 4 braids, and she had like some funky earrings on and some blue eyeshadow. So, okay, so maybe the blue eyeshadow didn't come back. God, I hope not. But the rest of it, I mean, that's just like something that I can imagine an artistic hipster wearing even to this day. So those are just a couple of things that I absolutely adored about the series as far as what got me into it. So like I said, I read these books back when I was a little girl, and the first time that I stumbled across them, it was at a yard sale when I was visiting my grandmother for the summer, and I think I bought however many books that they had, which couldn't have been many, maybe like 5 or 6, and I blew through them. I was just immediately obsessed with them. Even to this day, it's just one of my favorite series. It was the books that got me hooked on the concept of series, and the first books that I ever reread. So fast forward to Christmas time, I have flown back home, and my grandmother sends me for Christmas a box of Babysitter's Club books. And can I tell you guys that it's just the best gift that I ever received. She happened to come across a box of them at a yard sale, and the person was selling over 100 of them. Granted, there are over 200 books, including all the spin-offs, but the fact that she sent me over 100 was such a big deal, and I detailed them, like read them, reread them, reread them, and I love them so much. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm really excited about the show, especially now that I've seen the trailer, and I feel like it does an accurate job portraying not only the nostalgia of what the series meant back then, but also just today. It's just a story of girls getting together to form a club and navigating life and friendships. So I don't even know really the purpose of this video. It's really just an excuse for me to talk about my love of Babysitter's Club and just have an excuse to read the books all over. So like I said, I ended up picking up all 6 of these off of Amazon, and they all have like the classic covers. But if I'm being honest, I'm probably gonna go on eBay and start like building a collection back up, if only so that I can one day have them to pass on to my own kids, because as I mentioned, they still hold up if you're an adult rereading them, or if you're an adult reading it for the first time, if you're a kid reading it for the first time. They're just such good books. So just to kind of give you an example, let's just talk about quickly, well, okay, so the plot of the first one, pretty standard as with all first books in a series. You've got them basically putting the Babysitter's Club together. However, the real good plots come in the second book, Claudia and the Phantom Phone Calls. So when I was rereading this, I was actually pretty surprised at the heavy mystery element. Not heavy as in scary, but something that I felt was a little bit more than just fluff. And I say that to say, basically what we've got happening is that there is a phantom caller making, again, phantom phone calls in the book, and then as soon as they call and they realize you're not home, they come in and rob you. And so naturally the girls are afraid for that, because you know they're left at home with kids that they're looking after, and they are tasked with answering the phone, protecting the household. And so it's basically how they navigate that. There's the mystery element about like catching this phantom phone caller, and then you've got another side plot with there is a dance coming up, and some of them want to be asked by certain people, some of them don't really want to go, some of them just don't know. And so all of that kind of culminates together to where by the time you get to the end, you've got your conflict resolved. But I mean, I was really surprised at this book. I read it in one sitting because not only is it short, clearly, but it was also really captivating, which is another thing why I think it holds up even after all this time, because it's just so good. At the core of it, it's just people telling stories about their adventures, which I absolutely love. I'm just looking at the cover like, oh my god. And it's so funny because now I'm looking at like the image of Claudia back from like how I remembered her, and I think they did a pretty good job casting whoever's playing Claudia. So one quick thing, because this actually isn't the first time that they're making a show. They actually had a movie version of this that I think came out in 1990. You know your girl saw it. I loved it. And then a few years down the line, they ended up making a Nickelodeon miniseries about it. And I remember, the only character that I can remember is the girl who played Alex from Alex Mack. I know I'm dating myself by making that reference. But anyway, Larissa Olniak, I think is her name. She was one of the characters in it. And you better believe that I watched the hell out of that show. I rewatched it. I think it ended up being put on Prime a few years back, and I had to rewatch it just out of nostalgia. And even now I can remember the little ditty of like, say hello to your friends, Babysitter's Club. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, I guess that'll pretty much wrap it up. Please let me know in the comments if you have read this series. I would love to chat about you and take this trip down memory lane talking about Babysitter's Club books. But even if you haven't read this series, let me know in the comments what your like quintessential childhood book or series was. I know that there are a couple of them that have a fond place in my heart that I can still remember to this day. Aside from Babysitter's Club books, we've got Ramona Quimby, which is by Beverly Cleary. Those are just, those are so good. Of course, you got your Nancy Drews and your Encyclopedia Browns. There's also like Boxcar Kids, Magic School Bus. There's a bunch. And I love, I think I might take this opportunity. This is actually, I'm kind of like thinking off the cuff here, guys, but I feel like this is like the perfect segue to maybe me rereading a couple of my childhood favorites. Not necessarily to see if they hold up, because I don't really care about that. It's more so just like the nostalgic feeling that one gets. And it's just so fun revisiting childhood favorites. I know a couple of my favorite booktubers like Books and Lala have done stuff like that. And unfortunately, I don't remember like everything that's happened in my life when I was reading those books. Like she kind of dives in. I don't even remember like my teachers' names. But the concept of those books I think is still interesting, and rereading them would be a fun thing. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if that would be something that you might be interested in me doing. If not, I would be more than happy to just leave it at the Babysitters Club books, because that was a win for me. And I'm glad that I got to reread them. So anyway, please like and subscribe if you like this video and you want to see more content like it. And I will talk to you guys next time. Happy reading. Bye!